My name is Jake Bernardi and I'm a Director and Financial Planner at 57 North Financial Planning. Obviously, it's an absolute necessity within our line of work, and you're aware of why it's important, but the process in obtaining the PI probably is fairly daunting, because you know that the traditional long questionnaires and application forms, are not always the easiest to complete. We've been going for just over 3 years now, and so this was actually only our first ever PI renewal technically, because the first policy we had in place was our first ever policy. But certainly from speaking with others in our network who have gone through it, it isn't always the most pleasant process. So I think the process with BareRock for us definitely made that less daunting, and it was one of the reasons ultimately we chose to go with them, because thinking forward, it's hopefully going to stand us in good stead for renewals in the future. So we became aware of BareRock because of the Brett Davison Uncover Your Business Potential program. Brett had sent the email out, but then actually a couple of the firms within our cohort had used BareRock too, so we were able to speak to them about their own personal experiences as well. When we were looking at our PI, we did go around a few different insurers and receive multiple quotes. And I think what stood out for us most with BareRock was their application process. That you could tell they wanted to take time to get to know the business over and above just the numbers, and also the transparency and the open dialogue we had with multiple key figures at BareRock going throughout the process. So yeah, that was probably the two things that stood out the most for me. In every decision we've made at 57 North, whether it's been providers, investment houses, etc., we've always tried to look for partners to our business. And so one of the things that really stood out with BareRock was that we felt it was a partnership that we could develop and build on going forward, because we do hope to be here for quite some time. In terms of why we chose BareRock, it's fair to say that it's obviously a competitive market out there for PI insurers, and we were going back and forward, trying to understand what the best option was. But in the end, it was just the relationship we had felt we had built in what was a fairly short space of time over the application process, and ultimately the trust within that, because we do feel like they are working in our best interest and an extension to our business. I think with any PI insurer, you're hoping not to have a huge amount of dialogue with them, because that maybe means that something's gone wrong. But they are genuinely trying to work alongside us to share their industry knowledge and expertise, to see where they've with the other firms they work with, how they do things, and we're constantly striving for best practice in what we do. So getting that insight and that knowledge has been a real benefit to us. And in any case where we have wanted that dialogue with the PI insurer, they've been available whenever we needed them straight away. And I think that's a real intangible that we can't underestimate the importance of. I would say when it comes to BareRock's approach, the application process was genuinely insightful. I hope not just for them, but also for us, because it really makes you look inward at the processes, the policies and the systems and the culture that you've created. But the idea behind the club membership, I think, is a real plus. As a firm that wants to be doing the right thing, we don't want to be impacted by other firms that maybe aren't doing that. And so being able to smooth out that hard and soft market moving forward will hopefully be a real benefit for our firm, and definitely an accolade as far as BareRock are concerned. Yeah, I think they probably have provided some confidence and reassurance when managing risk. More so from the point of view that you can tell when going through the process that they've obviously done their research on the various providers and technology solutions within our profession, and if you use some of their preferred solutions, that helps in their assessment of what club membership that you obtain. And so I would say, if nothing else for us, there was some reassurance there that in a world where there is lots of options to choose from, we've done a pretty good job so far of picking some of the best. So yeah, I would say it has helped. If I had to describe BareRock in a few words, I think I would say they are experts in their field, they are diligent through their process, they are available, and they are transparent. I think what I'd be telling them is that you're working with a firm that genuinely wants to try and get to know the types of clients you deal with, why you want to deal with them, and how you deal and serve those clients. So yeah, there's genuine time and effort taken to try and understand how you do things so that they can be confident that they are ultimately insuring a high quality firm. Yes, I would recommend BareRock to their financial advisors, and in fact, I already have.